Mini Shopaholic, Chapter 2. There's no way on earth Minnie's spoiled. No way. Okay, so she has her little moments, like we all do, but she's not spoiled. I would know if she was spoiled. I'm her mother. Still, all the way to Santa's grotto, I feel ruffled. How can anyone be so mean? And on Christmas Eve, too. You show everyone how well behaved you are, darling, I murmur determinedly to Minnie as we walk along hand in hand. You just be a little angel for Father Christmas, okay? Jingle Bells is playing over the loudspeakers, and I can't help cheering up as we get near. I used to come to this exact same Santa's grotto when I was a little girl. Look, Minnie, I point excitedly. Look at the reindeer. Look at all the presents. There's a sleigh and 2 life-size reindeer and fake snow everywhere, and lots of girls dressed as elves in green costumes, which is a new touch. At the entrance, I can't help blinking in surprise at the elf who greets us with a tan cleavage. Is Father Christmas finding his elves at glamour model agencies these days? And should elves have purple acrylic nails? Merry Christmas, she greets us and stamps my ticket. Be sure to visit our Christmas wishing well and put in your Christmas wish. Father Christmas will be reading them later on. Did you hear that, Minnie? We can make a wish. I look down at Minnie, who's gazing up at the elf in silent awe. You see, she's behaving perfectly. Becky, over here. I turn my head to see Mom already in the queue, wearing a festive twinkly scarf and holding the handles of Minnie's buggy, which is laden with bags and packages. Father Christmas just went for his tea break, she adds as we join her, so I think we'll be another half hour at least. Dad's gone off to look for camcorder discs, and Janice is buying her Christmas cards. Janice is Mom's next-door neighbor. She buys all her Christmas cards half price on Christmas Eve, writes them out on January 1st, and keeps them in a drawer the rest of the year. She calls it getting ahead of herself. Now, love, will you take a look at my present for Jess? Mom roodles in a bag and anxiously produces a wooden box. Is it all right? Jess is my sister, my long-lost half-sister, I should say. Parentheses on Dad's side. It was a bit of a shock at first, but we're all used to it now, close parentheses. She's coming back from Chile in a few days' time, so we're going to have a second Christmas day for her and Tom, with turkey and presents and everything. Tom is Jess's boyfriend. He's the only son of Janice and Martin, and I've known him all my life, and he's really... Anyway, the point is they love each other, and sweaty hands probably don't matter so much in Chile, do they? It's fantastic that they're coming over, especially as it means we can finally have Minnie's christening. Parentheses, Jess is going to be a godmother, close parentheses. But I can see why Mom's stressed out. It's tricky buying presents for Jess. She doesn't like anything that's new or expensive or contains plastic or parabens or comes in a bag that isn't made of hemp. I bought this. Mom opens the lid of the box to reveal an array of posh glass bottles nestling in straw. It's shower gel, she adds quickly. Nothing for the bath. We don't want World War III again. There was this slight diplomatic incident last time Jess was over. We were celebrating her birthday, and Janice gave her a present of bubble bath, whereupon Jess launched into a 10-minute lecture on how much water a bath uses and how people in the West are obsessed by cleanliness and everyone should just take a 5-minute shower once every week like Jess and Tom did. Janice and Martin had recently had a jacuzzi installed, so this didn't go down very well. "What do you think?" says Mom. "Dunno." I peer cautiously at the label on the box. Does it have additives? Does it exploit people? "Oh, love, I don't know." Mom looks gingerly at the box as though it's a nuclear armament. "It says all natural," she ventures at last. "That's good, isn't it?" "I think it'll be okay," I nod. "But don't tell her you bought it in a shopping mall. Tell her you bought it from a small, independent cooperative." "Good idea," Mom brightens. "And I'll wrap it in newspaper. What have you got her?" "I bought her a yoga mat handmade by peasant women in Guatemala," I can't help saying smugly. "It funds village agricultural projects, and it uses recycled plastic components from computers." "Becky," says Mom admiringly, "how did you find that?" "Oh, research," I shrug airily. I won't admit I Googled green, worthy, present, recycle, environment, lentils, gift wrap. "Christmas! Christmas!" Minnie is dragging at my hand so hard I think she'll pull my arm off. "Do the wishing well with Minnie, love," suggests Mom. "I'll keep your place." I dump the ponies on the buggy and lead Minnie toward the wishing well. It's surrounded by fake silver birch trees with fairies hanging down from the branches. And if it weren't for the screeching kids everywhere, it would be quite magical. The wishing cards are laid out on a fake tree stump that you can use as a table. I pick up a card which has Christmas wish printed in swirly green writing at the top and give one of the felt tips to Minnie. Gosh, I remember writing letters to Father Christmas when I was little. They used to get quite long and involved with illustrations and pictures cut out of catalogs, just in case he got confused. A pair of pink-faced girls of about 10, all giggly and whispery, are posting their wishes, and just the sight of them gives me a rush of nostalgia. It seems wrong not to join in. I might jinx it or something. "Dear Father Christmas," I find myself writing on a card. "It's Becky here again." I pause and think for a bit and then quickly scribble down a few things. Only about 3. I'm not greedy or anything. Minnie is drawing earnestly all over her card and has got felt tip on her hands and her nose. "I'm sure Father Christmas will understand what you mean," I say gently, taking it from her. "Let's post it in the well." One by one, I drop the 2 cards in. Tiny fake snowflakes are drifting down from above, and Winter Wonderland is being piped out of a nearby speaker. And I suddenly feel so Christmassy I can't help closing my eyes, clenching Minnie's hand and wishing. You never know. "Becky." A deep voice penetrates my thoughts and my eyes snap open. Luke is standing in front of me, his dark hair and navy coat dusted with fake snow, a glint of amusement in his eyes. Too late, I realize I've been fervently mouthing, "Please, please," with my eyes squeezed shut. "Oh," I say at first, a bit flustered. "Hi, I was just talking to Father Christmas." "Don't be ridiculous." I regained my dignity. "Where have you been, anyway?" Luke doesn't answer me, but starts walking away, beckoning for me to follow. "Leave Minnie with your mother a moment," he says. "I've got something to show you." I've been married to Luke for 3.5 years now, but I still don't always know the way his mind is working. As we stride along, his mouth is hard, and I almost start to feel nervous. What could it be? Here. He comes to a halt in a deserted corner of the shopping mall and gets out his BlackBerry. On the screen is an email from his lawyer, Tony. It consists of a single word, settled. Settled? For a split second, I don't understand. Then I have a sudden flash of realization. Not Arcodus? They've settled? Yep, and now I can see a tiny smile glimmering. But you never said. I had no idea. Didn't want to raise your hopes. We've been talking for 3 weeks. It's not the greatest deal for us, but it's fine. We'll be fine. The point is, it's done. My legs feel a bit shaky. It's over, just like that. The Arcodus case has been hanging over us for so long. It started to feel part of the family. Prince's not a good part, obviously. The malevolent old witchy aunt with the warty nose and the nasty cackle, close parentheses. It's been 2 years since Luke went into battle with Arcodus. I say battle. It wasn't like he firebombed them or anything. He just refused to work for them as a matter of principle. The principle being that he didn't want to represent a load of bullies who mistreated his staff. He owns a PR company, Branding Communications, and has had most of his employees for years. When he found out the way Arcodus had been behaving toward them, he was angrier than I've ever seen him. So he quit, and they took him to court for breach of contract, parentheses, which just proves how awful and overbearing they are, close parentheses. Whereupon Luke took them to court for not paying for the services they'd already received. You'd have thought the judge would realize instantly who was the good guy and rule in Luke's favor. I mean, hello, don't judges have eyes? But instead they had stupid hearings and adjournments, and the whole thing has dragged on and been totally stressy. I have to say, my opinion of lawyers, judges, so-called mediators, and the whole legal system is a lot lower after all of this, which I would have told them if they'd only let me speak. I was dying for Luke to call me as a witness. I had my outfit ready and everything. Parentheses, navy pencil skirt, white shirt with ruffle, patent court shoes, close parentheses. And I'd written this brilliant speech, which I still know by heart. It begins, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I ask you to look into your hearts. And then I ask you to look at the 2 men before you. One honorable, upstanding hero who puts the well-being of his staff before money. Parentheses, here I would point at Luke, close parentheses. And one odious, sexist man who bullies everyone and has as much integrity as he does dress sense. Parentheses, here I would point at Ian Wheeler from Arcodus, close parentheses. Everyone would be stirred up and would cheer, and the judge would have to bang his gavel and cry, order, order. And then I was going to cunningly assess the jury like they do in John Grisham novels and work out which ones were on our side. Anyway, all my plans were spoiled when Luke said there wasn't going to be a jury. It wasn't that kind of court. And then he said it was a murky swamp full of dirty tricks, and he'd be damned if I got dragged into all this too. And I should stay at home with Minnie, so I did. Even though the frustration nearly killed us. Now Luke exhales and pushes his hands through his hair. Over, he says, almost to himself, at last. Thank goodness. As I reach up to hug him, I can see traces of wariness in his face still. This whole thing has nearly wiped Luke out. He's been trying to run his company and deal with the case and keep his staff motivated and win new business. So, he puts his hands on my shoulders and surveys me. We can start to move on in all sorts of ways. It takes me a moment to realize what he means. We can buy the house. I catch my breath. I put in the offer straight away, he nods. They said they'd give an answer by the end of the day. Oh my gosh. I can't help giving a little jump of excitement. I can't believe this is all happening at last. The case is over. We can finally move out of Mom and Dad's house and have our own family home. We've tried to move out before, in fact, several times. We've got as far as drawing up contracts for 4 houses in all, but each one has been doomed. Either the vendor didn't really want to sell, parentheses house number 3, or they suddenly demanded loads more money, parentheses house number 1, or the house didn't actually belong to them but to their uncle in Spain, and it was all a scam, house number 4, or it burned down, house number 2. I started to think we were jinxed, and then Luke said maybe we should wait till the Arcotis business was over. Lucky 5, I raised my eyes hopefully toward Luke, who just crosses his fingers and grins. This house has got everything going for it. It's in a brilliant road in Maida Vale, and it has a lovely garden with a swing hanging from a tree, and is amazingly spacious inside, and it's nearly ours. I feel a sudden burst of exhilaration. I have to go and buy Living Etc. right now, and El Deco, and wallpaper. Shall we get back? I say casually. I might pop into Smith's on the way and pick up a few magazines. And I better get Grand Designs and World of Interiors and 25 Beautiful Homes. In a minute, something about Luke's voice alerts me, and I look up to see he's taken a few paces away. His face is averted and his chin is stiff. Something doesn't look right about him. Hey, are you okay? I say cautiously. There's no bad news, is there? No, but there's something I wanted to run past you. He pauses, his hands cradling the back of his neck, his gaze distant, almost as though he can't bring himself to look at me. Weird thing happened a few minutes ago. I was in Waterstones waiting for the call about Arcotis, just wandering around. He pauses again for a long time, and I found myself buying a book for Annabelle. The new Ruth Rendell. She'd have loved it. There's silence for a moment. I don't know how to respond. Luke, I begin tentatively. I bought a bloody Christmas present for her. He squeezes his fists into his temples. Am I going nuts? Of course you're not going nuts. You're just... I break off helplessly, wishing I had something wise and profound to say, trying desperately to remember bits from that book on bereavement I bought. Because that's the other awful thing that happened this year. Luke's stepmom died in May. She was only ill for a month, and then she was gone. And Luke was absolutely devastated. I know Annabelle wasn't his biological mother, but she was his true mom. She brought him up, and she understood him like no one else did. And the worst thing is, he hardly saw her before she died. Even when she was really ill, he couldn't drop everything and rush to Devon because he had Arcotis hearings in London, and they'd been adjourned so many times already, it was impossible to delay again. He shouldn't feel guilty. I've told him so a million times. There was nothing he could do, but even so, I know he does, and now his dad is in Australia with his sister, so Luke can't even make up by spending time with him. And as for his real mother, we don't even mention her. Ever. Luke's always had a pretty love-hate relationship with Eleanor. It makes sense, since she abandoned him and his dad when Luke was tiny. But he was on fairly civil terms with her when she blew it big time. It was around the time of the funeral. He'd gone to see her for some family business reason. I still don't know exactly what she said to him. Something about Annabelle. Something insensitive and probably downright rude, I'm guessing. He's never told me exactly or even referred to the incident again. All I know is I've never seen him so white, so catatonic with fury. And now we never mention Eleanor's name anymore. I don't think he'll ever reconcile with her his whole life, which is fine by me. As I look up at Luke, I feel a little squeeze in my heart. The strain of this year has really hit him hard. He's got 2 little lines between his eyes, which he doesn't lose, even when he smiles or laughs. It's like he can't ever look 100% happy. Come on, I put my arm through his and squeeze it tight. Let's go and see Father Christmas. So, as we were walking along, I casually steer Luke to the other side of the mall. No reason, really. Just because the shops are nicer to look at. Like the bespoke jewelers and that shop with the silk flowers and Infant Coquette, which is full of handmade rocking horses and designer wench cribs. My pace has slowed right down, and I take a step toward the brightly lit window, full of a creeping lust. Look at all those gorgeous things. Look at the tiny rompers and the little blankets. If we had another baby, we could get all new lovely blankets, and it would be all snuffly and cute, and Minnie could help to wheel it in the pram, and we'd be a real family. I glance up to Luke to see if perhaps he's thinking the same thing as me and will meet my eyes with a soft, loving gaze. Instead, he's frowning at something on his BlackBerry. Honestly, why isn't he more tuned into my thoughts? We're supposed to be married, aren't we? He should understand me. He should realize why I've led him to a baby shop. That's sweet, isn't it? I point at a teddy bear mobile. Luke nods without even looking up. Wow, look at that pram. I point longingly at an amazing-looking high-tech contraption with bouncy wheels that look like they came off a Hummer. Isn't it great? If we had another baby, we could buy another pram. I mean, we'd have to. The crappy old pram Minnie had is completely bust. Not that I want another baby just to get a cool pram, obviously, but it would be an added bonus. Luke, I clear my throat, I was just thinking about us. I mean, all of us. Our family, including Minnie. And I was wondering... He holds up his hand and lifts his BlackBerry to his ear. Yes, hi. Gosh, I hate that silent ring mode. It gives you no warning at all that he's getting a call. I'll catch up with you, he mouths to me. Then turns back to his BlackBerry. Yep, Gary, I got your email. Okay, so this isn't a great time to discuss buying a pram for a mythical second baby. Never mind, I'll wait till later. As I hurry back to Santa's grotto, it occurs to me I might be missing Minnie's turn, and I break into a run. But as I skid round the corner, breathless, Father Christmas isn't even on his throne yet. Becky! Mum waves from the front of the queue. We're next. I've got the camcorder all ready. Ooh, look. An elf with a bright, vacant smile has taken the stage. She beams around and taps the microphone for attention. "Hello, boys and girls," she calls out. "Quiet now, before Santa starts seeing all the children again. It's Christmas wish time. We are going to pull out the wish of one lucky child and grant it. Will it be a teddy or a dollhouse or a scooter?" The microphone isn't working properly, and she taps it in annoyance. Even so, excitement is rippling through the crowd, and there's a surge forward. Camcorders are waving in the air, and small children are swarming through people's legs to see. Their faces all lit up. "Minnie," Mum is saying excitedly. "What did you wish for, darling? Maybe they'll choose you." "And the winner is called Becky." "Well done, Becky." The elf's suddenly amplified voice makes me jump. No, that can't be. It must be another Becky. There must be loads of little girls here called Becky. And little Becky has wished for... She squints at the wishing card. A Zach Posen top in aquamarine. The one with the bow, size 10. Shit. Is Zach Posen a new TV character? The elf turns to a colleague, looking bemused. Is that like a spinning top? Honestly, how could she work in a department store and not have heard of Zach Posen? How old is Becky? The elf is smiling brightly around. "Becky, sweetheart, are you here? We haven't got any tops, but maybe you'd like to choose a different toy from Santa's sleigh?" My head is ducked down in embarrassment. I can't bring myself to raise my hand. They didn't say they'd read the bloody Christmas wishes out loud. They should have warned me. "Is Becky's mummy here?" "Here I am," calls Mom gaily, waving her camcorder. "Shh, Mom," I hiss. "Sorry," I call out, my face boiling. "It's, me. I didn't realize you'd be... Choose another wish, a child's wish. Please, throw mine away." But the elf can't hear me above the hubbub. "Also, those Marnie shoes I saw with Sue's, not the stack heels, the other ones." She's still reading out loud, her voice booming through the sound system. Does this make sense to anyone? And she squints more closely at the paper. Does that say a sibling for Minnie? Is Minnie your dolly, love? Oh, isn't that sweet? "Stop it!" I cry out in horror, pushing forward through the crowd of small children. "That's confidential. No one was supposed to see that. And above all, Father Christmas, I wish that Luke..." "Shut up!" In desperation, I practically dive at the grotto. "That's private. It's between me and Father Christmas." I reach the elf and wrench the paper out of her hand. "Ow!" she cries. "I'm sorry," I say breathlessly, "but I'm Becky." "You're Becky?" Her mascaraed eyes narrow. Then she looks down at the paper again, and I see the comprehension dawning. After a few moments, her face softens. She folds the paper and hands it back to me. "I hope you get your Christmas wish," she says quietly, away from the microphone. "Thanks." I hesitate, then adds, "Same to you, whatever it is. Happy Christmas." I turn to go back to Mom, and through the thicket of heads, I glimpse Luke's dark eyes. He's standing there near the back. My stomach flips over. What exactly did he hear? He's coming toward me now, weaving his way through the families, his expression impenetrable. "Oh, hi," I say. I try to sound casual. "So, they read out my Christmas wish. Isn't that funny?" He's giving nothing away. There's an awkwardish little silence between us. He did hear his name, I can tell. A wife has an unerring instinct for these things. He heard his name, and now he's wondering what I was wishing about him. Unless maybe he's just thinking about his emails. Mommy! A shrill, unmistakable voice cuts through my head, and I forget all about Luke. Minnie! I turn, and for one frantic moment I can't see her. Was that Minnie? Luke is also alert. Where is she? She was with Mom. Shit. I grabbed Luke's arm and pointed at the stage in horror. Minnie sitting on top of one of Father Christmas's reindeer, holding on to its ears. How the hell did she get up there? Excuse me, I barged my way between the parents and kids. Minnie, get down. Horsey! Minnie kicks the reindeer joyfully, leaving an ugly dent in the papier-mâché. Would someone remove this child, please? An elf is saying into the microphone. Would the parents of this child please come forward at once? I only let go of her for a minute, says Mum defensively as Luke and I reach her. She just ran. Okay, Minnie, says Luke firmly, striding up onto the stage. Party's over. Slide. She's clambered up onto the sleigh. Mine slide. It's not a slide, and it's time to get down. He takes Minnie around the waist and pulls, but she's hooked her legs through the seat and is gripping onto the sleigh with superhero strength. Could you get her off, please? The elf says with strained politeness. I grab Minnie's shoulders. Okay, I mutter to Luke. You get the legs, we'll yank her off after 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh no. Oh, fuck. I don't know what happened. I don't know what we did, but the whole bloody sleigh is collapsing. All the presents are falling off the sleigh onto the fake snow. Before I can blink, a sea of children dashes forward to grab the gifts, while their parents yell to them to come back now, Daniel, or there won't be any Christmas. It's mayhem. Present! Wails Minnie, stretching her arms out and kicking Luke's chest. Present! Get that bloody child out of here. The elf erupts in toxic rage. Her eyes range meanly over me, Mum, and Luke, and even over Janice and Martin, who have appeared out of nowhere, both wearing festive sweaters decorated with reindeer and clutching Christmas discount shop bags. I want your whole family to leave at once. But it's our turn next, I point out humbly. I'm really sorry about the reindeer, and we'll pay for any damage. Absolutely, Luke chimes in. But my daughter's been longing to see Father Christmas. I'm afraid we have a little rule, the elf says sarcastically. Any child who wrecks Santa's sleigh forfeits their visit. Your daughter is hereby banned from the grotto. Banned? I stare at her in dismay. You mean, in fact, all of you are banned? With a purple lacquered nail, she points at the exit. Well, that's a fine Christmas spirit, retorts Mum. We're loyal customers, and your sleigh was obviously very poorly made, and I have a good mind to report you to trading standards. Just go. The elf is still standing there, her arm extended rigidly. In total mortification, I take the handles of the buggy. We all trudge out in miserable silence to see Dad rushing up in his waterproof jacket, his graying hair a bit disheveled. Did I miss it? Have you seen Father Christmas, Minnie, darling? No, I can hardly bear to admit it. We were banned from the grotto. Dad's face falls. Oh, dear, oh, love. He sighs heavily. Not again. How many is that now? Asked Janice with a wince. 4. I look down at Minnie, who of course is now standing, holding Luke's hand demurely, looking like a little angel. What happened this time? Asked Dad. She didn't bite Santa, did she? No, I say defensively, of course not. The whole biting Santa at Herod's incident was a complete misunderstanding, and that Santa was a total wimp. He did not need to go to the hospital. It was Luke and me. We wrecked the sleigh trying to get her off a reindeer. Dad nods sagely, and we all turn glumly toward the exit. Minnie's quite a live wire, isn't she? Ventures Janice timidly after a while. Little rascal, says Martin, and tickles Minnie under the chin. She's a handful. Maybe I'm feeling oversensitive, but all this talk of handfuls and rascals and live wires is suddenly pressing on my sore spot. You don't think Minnie's spoiled, do you? I say suddenly, and come to an abrupt halt on the marble mall floor. Be honest. Janice inhales sharply. Well, she begins, glancing at Martin as though for support. I wasn't going to say anything, but... Spoiled? Mom cuts her off with a laugh. Nonsense. There's nothing wrong with Minnie, is there, my precious? She just knows her own mind. She strokes Minnie's hair fondly, then looks up again. Becky, love, you are exactly the same at her age. Exactly the same. At once I relax. Mom always says the right thing. I glance over at Luke, but to my surprise he doesn't return my relieved smile. He looks as though some new and alarming thought has transfixed him. Thanks, Mom. I give her a fond hug. You always make everything better. Come on, let's get home. By the time Minnie's in bed, I've cheered up. In fact, I'm feeling very festive. This is what Christmas is all about. Mulled wine and mince pies and White Christmas on the telly. We've hung up Minnie's stocking, Prince's gorgeous red gingham from the Conran shop, and put out a glass of sherry for Father Christmas. And now Luke and I are in our bedroom, wrapping up her presents. Mom and Dad are really generous. They've given us the whole top floor of the house to live in, so we have quite a lot of privacy. The only slight downside is our wardrobe isn't that big, but it doesn't matter because I've taken over the guest room wardrobe too. Plus, I've arranged all my shoes on the bookshelves on the landing. I put the books in boxes. No one ever read them anyway. I've put up a hanging rail in Dad's study for coats and party dresses and stacked some hat boxes in the utility room. And I keep all my makeup on the dining table, which is the ideal size. In fact, it could have been designed for makeup. My mascaras fit in the knife drawer, my straightening irons go perfectly in the hostess trolley, and I've put all my magazines and piles on the chairs. I've also stored just a few teeny things in the garage, like all my old boots and this amazing set of vintage trunks I bought at an antique shop, and a power plate machine, parentheses, which I bought off eBay and must start using, close parentheses. It's getting a bit crowded in there now, I suppose, but it's not like Dad ever uses the garage for the car, is it? Luke finishes wrapping a jigsaw puzzle, reaches for a magic drawing easel, then looks around the room and frowns. How many presents is Minnie getting? Just the usual number, I say defensively. Although, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback myself. I forgot how many I'd bought from catalogs and crafts fairs and stashed away throughout the year. This one's educational. I hastily whipped the price tag off the magic drawing easel, and it was really cheap. Have some more mulled wine. I pour him another glass, then reach for a hat with 2 red sparkly pom-poms. It's the cutest thing, and they had them in baby sizes too. If we had another baby, it could wear a pom-pom hat to match Minnie's. People would call them the children in the pom-pom hats. I have a sudden alluring image of myself walking down the street with Minnie, She'd be pushing her toy pram with a dolly in it, and I'd be pushing a pram with a real baby in it. She'd have a friend for life. It would all be so perfect. Becky? Sellotape? Becky? Suddenly, I realized Luke said my name about 4 times. Oh, sorry, here you are. Isn't this lovely? I jingle the red pom-poms at Luke. They had them for babies, too. I leave a significant pause, letting the word babies hang in the air and using all my powers of marital telepathy. This sellotape is crap. It's all shredded. He discards it impatiently. Well, so much for marital telepathy. Maybe I should introduce the subject by stealth. Suze once persuaded her husband Tarky to go on a package holiday to Disneyland so stealthily that he didn't even realize where they were going till they were on the plane. Mind you, Tarky is Tarky, parentheses, sweet, unsuspicious, usually thinking about Wagner or sheep, close parentheses. And Luke is Luke, parentheses, on the case and always thinking I'm up to something, which I am not, close parentheses. So that's fantastic news about our CODIS, I say casually, and the house. Isn't it great? Luke's face cracks briefly in a smile. It's like all the pieces of the jigsaw are falling into place. At least, nearly all the pieces. I leave another meaningful glance, but Luke doesn't even notice. What's the point of peppering your conversation with meaningful pauses if no one notices? I've had enough of being stealthy. It's totally overrated. Luke, let's have another baby, I say in a rush, tonight. There's silence. For an instant, I wonder whether Luke even heard. Then he raises his head, looking astonished. Are you nuts? I stare back at him, affronted. Of course I'm not nuts. I think we should have a little brother or sister for Minnie, don't you? My petal. Luke sits back on his heels. We can't control one child. How on earth would we control 2? You saw the way she behaved today. Oh, not him too. What are you saying? I can't help sounding hurt. Do you think Minnie's spoiled? I'm not saying that, Luke says carefully, but you have to admit she's out of control. No, she's not. Look at the fact she's been banned from 4 Santa's grottos. He ticks off on his fingers, and St. Paul's Cathedral, not to mention the incident at Harvey Nichols and the fiasco at my office. Is he going to hold that against her forever? They shouldn't have expensive artwork on the walls, is what I say. They're supposed to be working, not walking around looking at art all day. She's just spirited, I say defensively. Maybe a baby would be good for her. And drive us insane, Luke shakes his head. Becky, let's hold our horses on this one, okay? I feel crushed. I don't want to hold my horses. I want to have 2 children in matching pom-pom hats. Luke, I've really thought about this carefully. I want Minnie to have a lifelong friend and not grow up an only child. And I want our children to be close in age, not years apart. And I've got 100 quids worth of vouchers for Baby World, which I never spent, I add, suddenly remembering. They'll expire soon.